Okay, class, so this project is going to be a full color animation. So let's talk a little bit about digital color. So, um, to begin, color in general is a electromagnetic wave between 400 nanometers and 700 nanometers in wavelength. So the shorter the wavelength, the more energetic. So purple is more energetic than red. It's not really how we emotionally perceive them. We tend to sort of perceive these colors as more energetic. Um, but it is sort of the physical fact of them. There's also two different types of maybe scroll just a little bit down. Maybe move my little face here. There's two different types of color mixing. So subtractive is probably what you've come across in your daily life. So this is like pigment-based color mixing. If you mix paint, if you mix crayons, it's going to be subtractive, meaning that you're removing light. So my shirt is red because it's removed every color but red to bounce back at your eyes. So when you mix a red and blue pigment, you block even more light and you get a purple, a resulting purple. If you mix all the colors together, you get usually a brown, but eventually if you mix enough pigments in, you'll get black. In printing, we use CMYK. It's the same principle, just different colors. So you mix cyan and magenta and you get blue, yellow and magenta and you get red, so on and so forth. You can paint this way also, but it's not quite relevant for what we're talking about, because what we do in digital color mixing is additive. So we have red, green, and blue pixels. You mix red and green light, you get yellow. You mix all the lights, you get white. And to have no light, to have black, you add no light. So this is interesting. It was sort of hard for me to get my brain around as coming from a painting background. And I don't know what your art experience is, but if you, like most people, started in the traditional world, digital is it's harder. I think it is harder because you have every single option in the world. And like pigments, just by the nature of what they are, they're going to add some harmony because you can only create so many different colors from your pigments. Whereas in the digital world, you can pick absolutely any color that the human eye can perceive. So the way light is the way light is or color is modeled in these programs is with an HSL or HSV model. So hue, saturation, and lightness is the one that I typically use. And that means, so hue is the color itself. So green, red, blue, orange, so on and so forth. Saturation is how much gray it has in it. So 0 saturation is gray. 100% saturation is the pure color. And then lightness is how much black or white it has in it. 0 lightness is black, 100% lightness is white. So one quick way to make your color more harmonious is to pick 2 of these quantities to stay the same. So either pick the same hue and change saturation, lightness, pick the same saturation, change hue and lightness, so on and so forth. And I can show you what that looks like on a color wheel. Another thing to sort of have in your mind when you're picking your colors are these color harmonies. So you may have also come across all of this before. Like I think we talk about complementary colors pretty early in school. But there's some good ones here. So complementary, being across from one another on the color wheel, is a very strong relationship. So the Christmas always looks good because you have these 2 complementary colors. Blue and orange usually looks good together. My favorite combination is this split complementary. So you pick one color and then the 2 sort of adjacent colors across from the color wheel. Analogous, picking 3 very similar colors. I would say these 3 here, the triadic, tetradic, and square, are all the hardest harmonies to get to work. Monochromatic, just picking one color and changing the lightness, is awesome. It always works. It can be a little boring, I guess, is the downside of monochromatic. But the reality is, as much as we like to talk about these harmonies, these colors don't actually function this way. Like yellow is a much more intense color than purple, so you have to use a lot less yellow to balance out purple. So what is actually good to think about, in my opinion, is color character. Color character is more about the vibe of the colors you're picking. So all of these colors together are light, all of these are medium, deep. You could pick bold colors, you could pick cottage core colors, you could pick goth colors. So it's much more artist driven, it's much more what you feel when you look at these colors together. So the way that we can start working with color character instead of just these regimented harmonies or just sort of randomly hoping that our colors will look good together is to create palettes. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and make myself a palette. So the first thing I'll do is I'll grab my brush tool, and I'm gonna use this pink color I have here. Oop. And make my brush tool bigger here. Okay. And I'm gonna pick another color that's the same color, and I'm just switching over to hue here, just more saturated. And it's pretty nice. And then because these are both reds with some pink in them, I'm gonna pick a green because that's sort of the complement. Maybe a darkish green. Okay. And this is fine. Like, I'm perfectly happy using this as a color palette. I think it'd be a nice little animation. But I think I can elevate this. So I'm gonna add a layer above that. And I am going to put a shape above that. So I'll change my color here to sort of a yellow, orangey yellow. And I'll put a shape above that here. Then I'm going to go over here to my opacity under the properties. And I'm going to drop that down to maybe 40%. Oh, sorry. Okay. There we go. Sorry. If you want to actually change the one that you're on, you'll have to go over to click on it and then go over to the object, not to the tool. But I now have this like screen of low opacity yellow over my solids, and I really like these. I think they're sunny, they're nice, and I've done effectively what you can do with real pigments in that I've harmonized them by bringing the same color character to every single one of these colors. So I want to save these for later so I could just kind of go through them in my animation. But unfortunately, there's a little quirk in Animate that I can't select the resulting color here. I can only select the top color. So I need to turn these into symbols. Essentially, what we're using right now are shapes, which are sort of laying loose on the page of our canvas. And when we use a symbol, we start gluing them down. So we turn them into one thing. So I'm going to turn both of these layers into symbols. Let me just delete this here. So I'm going to turn my layer 3 into a symbol by going to modify, and having that layer selected, going to modify and convert to symbol. And then make sure it's a graphic symbol. I'm going to call this transparent yellow, orange, yellow, orange. Hit OK. And then I'm going to go to my layer underneath that, and I'm going to call that, I'll go to modify, convert to symbol, call that solid, orange, and green. Hit OK. Now I'll go back to the right over here and go to my library. And my symbols have now appeared over here. I'm going to drag my solid orange and green over and my transparent yellow over. And now, it seems like I've done nothing, but I have, because now when I go with my eyedropper tool and select this area, I have the resulting color. So This is great. Now I want to save this for later. So I'm going to go over to my swatches here on the right. Let me delete this old palette here. Boop. And I'm going to create a new folder. And I'll call this palette, or whatever you want to call it. And now when I eyedropper tool all of these colors, you can just go through all of them. When you go back to swatches, they'll appear over here, and you can just drag them into your folder now. And now we have a set of like really sunny, harmonious colors that I know work because they have that one yellow color unifying all of them. All right, so that's creating a palette in Adobe Animate. I hope that's helpful to you, and I'll see you in the next video.